Human biology is tuned for a very specific reality: one atmosphere of pressure and air composed of 21% oxygen. Below the surface, we enter a hostile, crushing void covering 70% of our planet. By tracking a human body as it sinks straight to the seafloor, we can observe the exact points where physics, chemistry, and biology systematically dismantle our terrestrial anatomy. The mechanical threats begin just 10 meters down. Because water is 800 times denser than air, the pressure doubles at this depth, immediately shrinking air spaces inside your mask, within your sinuses, and your lungs. This diagram shows the respiratory system reaching residual volume between 30 and 40 meters. At this depth, the lungs are compressed so tightly they should theoretically collapse inward like an empty soda can. Surviving past this 40-meter boundary requires the human body to activate deep-seated biological mechanisms that normally stay dormant. As elite freedivers descend past 100 meters, the pressure on their tissues becomes so great that their buoyancy flips. They stop floating and begin to sink headfirst into the dark. This freefall triggers the mammalian dive reflex. The heart slows its rhythm, sometimes dropping to 30 beats per minute, to strictly ration the oxygen remaining in the blood. To prevent the lungs from being crushed, the body initiates the thoracic blood shift. Blood is redirected from the limbs to flood and reinforce the chest cavity, physically bracing the respiratory tissues against the weight of the water. This prioritization of the core over the limbs is a desperate survival response. It buys the diver time, but it leaves them on a razor-thin margin between returning home and suffering total hypoxia. These reflexes offer only a temporary window. Remaining in the deep for extended periods requires heavy technological intervention, and that is when the ocean's chemistry turns toxic. Saturation divers bypass these limits by living inside pressurized habitats like the Aquarius laboratory, which allows them to work at depths of 200 meters for weeks at a time. Living here means contending with nitrogen narcosis. Breathing standard nitrogen under high pressure severely intoxicates the brain, a state divers call the Martini Law, where judgment and motor control erode as if the diver were drunk. Swapping nitrogen for helium avoids the intoxication, but can trigger high-pressure nervous syndrome. The sheer weight of the ocean can cause the nervous system to physically glitch, manifesting as tremors and cognitive delays. Returning to the surface presents the final chemical danger. If a diver ascends too quickly, compressed gases in the bloodstream expand into bubbles that tear through joints and vessels, causing agonizing, often lethal injury. Even with specialized gas mixtures and decompression chambers, we are only delaying a physical reality. When the technology fails, the sea begins the process of assimilation. On the seafloor, a body does not undergo the typical bloating seen on land. The crushing pressure prevents gases from expanding, meaning the remains stay pinned to the seabed. In oxygen-rich deep water, the arrival of new biological material triggers an immediate ecological response. Scavengers like Dungeness crabs and squat lobsters are drawn to the remains within hours. They swarm the tissue, methodically stripping it away. In a matter of days, this relentless activity pulls the skin back and exposes the underlying skeleton to the currents. In freezing, oxygen-deprived regions, the fate of the remains changes. Body fat undergoes a chemical reaction with the cold water, forming a soapy grave wax called adipose air that can preserve the body for years. Eventually, even the bones are targeted. Specialized worms called osedacs use acid to drill into the skeleton, devouring the last traces of organic matter. A body at these depths is not resting. It is being aggressively dismantled to fuel a high-pressure ecosystem. The deep ocean functions as a highly efficient recycling engine, constantly waiting for an influx of new biological material. Humans can only visit this dimension for fleeting moments. We survive by engineering our breathing gases or relying on dormant reflexes to protect internal organs. The deep sea remains incompatible with our anatomy, eventually claiming and breaking down everything terrestrial that enters it. Despite our ambitions to explore the abyss, we remain a species bound to the surface, where the pressure is low and the air is thin.